Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships and Islands of Ice in Randoms Battle and Domination mode. Here in the Tier 10 Soviet battleship, the Kremlin. And this is so far for 2025, the most hilarious battle. The hardest I've laughed. So far, I don't think I've even laughed quite this hard in 2024, so maybe I could even rope that in, but at least for 2025 so far, I've never laughed quite this hard in terms of how a battle ends, because honestly, it's hysterical. Like, I think it's hysterical. I sent this video into Jingles as a Game of Throws because to me Jingles has the market in terms of like Game of Throw videos, and he just does them the best, so I don't want to like feature this as a Game of Throw or something, even though it definitely is a Game of Throw. But I would love to hear Jingles' reaction to this video, so we'll see if he ends up featuring it or not. But yeah, so this game, what can I tell you? Well, I don't know how I'm going to exactly do commentary on the battle. It's building up to get towards the end of the match, because it's going to be a pretty lengthy battle. But part of what I want to talk about in this battle is that even though it's rather hilarious in terms of how the game ends, it's actually a pretty frustrating battle for several reasons. Between having to deal with the enemy aircraft carrier and both submarines. So maybe this will be a little bit of more of a play-by-play analysis, if you will, with some laughter along the way and some frustration as well. So what are we doing here? Well, our team's pretty heavy on this flank when you're looking at the mini-map. What I want to do, because you see, I don't remember who our cruiser player is. He's kind of just ditched, and he's already running back down the three-line kiting. I want to push up into A and cap. Now I have to say I'm aware that there's probably an enemy submarine pushing down the one line. Ours is pushing up the one line. As you see, he's right on the border. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to position myself actually pretty deep behind this island. There's two submarines in this game. I think it's a U4501 and then a Gato. And I have scarring memories of eating so many bow-on torps from a Gato before, because of how the non-homing torpedoes, those hit really hard. And sometimes, you have submarine players who don't even ping when you get in a more like still position, so you don't even know it's coming. So I'm going to be pinging the map, and I'm like, wow, I'm pretty far in behind this island. The submarine's definitely pushing down. Our sub is like 10 kilometers above. And I would like to switch to high explosive, but I'm like, I don't want the sub to like show up, and then I don't have the guns loaded, especially since our Gato is he's pretty close to being on the surface, right? He's like periscope depth. So my hope here is to get the cap and then kite back a bit until the submarine situation here on the one line resolves. Unfortunately, we get reset by the Shinano, and I'm trying to communicate with my team, particularly the sub player that I'm still spotted, and pinging the map and kind of illustrating where he's at, because he's deeper. He's pretty deep, right? Submarines are pretty stealthy, and the fact that our Gato, when he's down to 60 kilometers now, I can't even spot. So kind of a frustrating gameplay. My insides are kind of screaming. My reaction is like, you just got to get out of the cap, Flimsy. You can't sit here. And I'm really trying. I want to get the cap, but the Shinano comes back for a second time to reset me. So I just decide, okay, I can't stay. He's just going to keep me from flipping the cap. So we're going to accelerate forward. Not enough time, of course, to flip the cap. And then we're going to turn out to the left here. And it's just really painful, because it's like, wait, am I going to eat torps? Am I not? And I'm really confused here, because I've not been torped yet. And that's when the sub player finally gets spotted. And he actually looks AFK. He doesn't seem to be reacting, and when our submarine player finally surfaced, he gets spotted by the other sub. Just as a consequence. And the Gato's not bow into me, so that's helpful to know, so I don't have to stress at the moment that there's any torpedoes coming. So I'm just really confused. So the Gato came all the way down the one line, but he's not doing anything, so maybe he had to separate from his computer or something. But regardless, it's still a threat we need to be mindful of. We have the Colombo still, and so I'm like thinking maybe that Gato is still going pretty slow. We get chunked pretty good there. Maybe I can still hit him with some depth charge airstrikes. And so I'm kind of debating if I want to turn more away now from the sub's position, and hoping that our sub gets a lock on again. And so our sub does. Unfortunately, we used the depth charge airstrike. I didn't know he was going to come back in and spot. I'm still going to do a blind fire here in addition to using the depth charge airstrike. He just seems AFK out of it. So there's no reason why we can't pop some shots here. I probably could have switched to high explosive, honestly. It would have done some chances of causing a fire on the submarine beyond just the flooding, which you can see our flood damage is ticking for the sub. And so, like, here I am in chat, like, I'm so confused by what's happening right now. Things will look pretty bad for our team here at the start. Our team initially got onto C decently well. But then we have an issue where a lot of our teams just back here on the back left corner of the map, which just honestly sucks. I want to push back in as soon as I can, but I'm really trying to respect the submarine threat. Again, I've been scarred by Gato perhaps one too many times, so I'm a little gun shy. But he finally does, our sub surfaces again to spot him, and so I thank him. I appreciate that he did that. Then we had, did we have high explosive load at that time? I don't remember. And now we're finally going to push back in because there's a lot of pressure that we don't have map control. C's falling apart. We just lost multiple people. We're down to 90 points, right? So things aren't looking good for our team at all. So we need to push back in ASAP. And get control of A. We're going to try to flip it again as much as the C or the CV is going to give us a lot of difficulty. So I'm trying to communicate in chat. Like, I don't see, I mean, yes, you could be like, lose hope, think the game's over. But I mean, usually for me, it's not till the fat lady sings, as the saying goes. It's not till the last dance has occurred. There's a lot of different expressions for that. Like, I'm going to keep going as long as I can until I'm dead or the game just ends in a defeat. So we do get the kill on the Yamato there. It's great with how close the points was, with us being at 90 points. It's really important that we get as we try to secure some kills to give ourselves a little more breathing room. In case if we lose another teammate, or if we lost two teammates when we're at 90 points, I think that would have 0-pointed us just because we don't have map control. So the Stalingrad here is overextending himself as our Genon takes out the Yoshino. It's great. And then Des Moines also gets taken out. I think he also ate Genon Torps. So Genon made some, gets the dev strike there. So really great for him. Very helpful. And this is part of I was talking with someone, they commented on, I think, a YouTube video. I don't know if it was last week. Yeah, I guess it was last week. The win harder mentality, right? When your team or enemy team, you have map control. Let's say you have control of most all the caps. And then, your team or enemy team, whoever is in control of the caps, ends up pushing. Like, honestly, most throws, like the person who was commenting, like most of those happen just because people want to win harder. It's not enough just to win on points, be in a defensive position, let the enemy team push back into you, right? The mentality of winning harder is quite strong in World of Warships, as an example. So, with that being said, there wasn't too much action happening there. Besides, I think it was one of these Yamatos we shoot and we do 0 damage to him. We don't pin, but I think we do get damage on that one. But so now we're going to be working our forward turret on the one Yamato who's really low. Our rear turret on the Colombo. So that's something you can do when you don't want to be showing a lot of angle. And like, I don't want to just kind of be kiting into the one line just to make sure I'm getting all turrets off. Because I know at some point I'm going to swing from A over towards B. And so I'm going to let the CV, he kills Yamato. Great. So now we're focusing back in on Colombo. We want to focus him out. So it looks like we got some good coordination happening in the chat. And again, I keep getting reset. Really hard to flip A. And then we're going to be turning bow in towards the skip bombers of Shinano that have a really high pin values. What was I wanting to say here? Your AA. The AA used to be really strong. I think it's still quite strong, if I remember right. It's got a 6.6 kilometer AA range, so it's not like a 5.8 or a 6.9 as a lot of the long range AA that you see. So we're actually going to be getting a lot of planes, a decent amount this game. So as I push up here, I'm kind of debating, do I shoot Colombo, or maybe if I get just in range, I can shoot the Golden Lion, since he's kind of on that island. I didn't want him reversing, getting away. So we've clawed back the kills. So actually, as you see now, like in a very short amount of time, it's back to being even, despite being at 90 points in like multiple ships behind. So now the CV's coming in again, but he's trying to get around on our broadside. And I'm trying to find like AA fire support because I'm really getting sick and tired of being focused by the CV. But it's too late. We are going to finally pick up the cap and start ticking points in a positive direction here. And we're going to resume pushing in on the Colombo. Unfortunately, we lose our midway to the Shimakaze. He was pushing more back into our spawn. So that's pretty unfortunate. One of the things that's great about Kremlin, besides being tanky, we actually don't... the game before this, I broke my potential damage record, and I'll probably future maybe next week. 4.7 million, 4.75 million potential damage. And I had that game right before this. This game, we don't tank as much damage because we just seem to be more eating it between the CV and other submarine we're going to run into later on. So the enemy CV knows kind of like this push is happening, and he just decides to reverse the whole time, which honestly isn't great. We're being mindful not to use our fast damage control team until the CV gets the second or potentially a third strike off. So we don't want to DCP and then not have our DCP available if he were to get a flood on us on the next salvo. Shinano also has the smokescreen gimmick, which is annoying, but we're just going to keep pushing in, and then we'll shoot at him again because he's within detectability range. I am really paranoid about the U4501 and Shimakaze if they're pushing through B towards me, so I'm not full-on rushing, as I would say. To get towards B, I'm going to be playing with my throttle, slowing down here and there, just because I don't really know what's going on with the Shimakaze and the submarine player, which as far as I know hasn't been spotted in a while. Now I'm trying to ping the cap, then when you get B, I think the Nevsky kind of was wondering with the Colombo pushing back in, he decides to kite away, and yes, sap can be definitely scary because you can eat a lot of sap damage. Louisiana, hybrid battleship back there on full damage, so I'm going to deal with him next, but for now I want to deal with the Shinano. What I'm going to be trying to do here, because a lot of the CVs you can just end up, you ricochet off the deck. I'm trying to pin him through his bow. It's possible to get some big penetration damage, and then I find even possible to get a Citadel, which that just happened there, which is great. Because it's just really frustrating to kill a CV that doesn't have much health and you keep getting a lot of ricochets and overpins. Even it's fun watching the Kremlin dispersion. I think it's best at mid-range. It can get really spicy, but at further, longer ranges, it's not as good. I don't remember how they did the dispersion curve for Kremlin. But you do get 1.8 Sigma, and depending if you take aiming systems, mod 1, that's going to improve your horizontal and vertical dispersion by -7%, because you already do get a pretty decent 180 traverse time. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, almost dead there, went over pin, 2 ricochets. So, frustrating. So I was really hoping to get the kill there. But we have already picked up the A defense expert. We're at 50 planes. It's going to keep going up because we're going to have to deal with this full health hybrid he's been playing pretty passively, honestly. I don't know if he spawned in late or something, but not great. So A is being flipped, which tells me either the submarine or the Shimakaze is in there. So I'm checking tab, just trying to see what's going on. Oneski doesn't seem to be responding, so I'm going to ping him, and I'm going to ping the cap. And I'm not trying to be annoying. It's like, hey, we can win this. Like, it really... I know between me and the Shikishima, we can definitely get the Louisiana. What's going to be the big thing here, because of our points difference and being over 5.5 minutes left in the game, it's going to come down to getting the Shimakaze killed and getting the submarine killed, which now I see the Torps from the sub, so I know it's the Shimakaze that's on A, and that sub seems to be a little bit distant away, because I think Jinan is hunting the submarine, actually, so he's out there dealing with that threat, as it were. There's going to be a few things that happen as we get into B. Again, we're going to have a really hard time capping. I'm hoping with my 9 457mm guns that I can put the hurt on Louisiana. No citadels, but we do 21k. It's going to be difficult here because we're kind of getting pinched between the sub and the Louisiana. I'm going to get insanely lucky here shortly and not just being clapped by Louisiana's 406s. You'll see when the time comes. But Louisiana, he's really donating a lot of HP. You see, he's actually flying his planes there and just sitting full on broadside, and then we just clap him for 26k. So he's really donating a lot of hit points. Very nice of him. And I realized I need to accelerate and get behind the an island up here towards the right, near where the Shikishima is. And I get pinged here, and I make a big mistake here, honestly. I should have just went ahead and DCP'd the homing torpedoes. Or not, sorry, it's not this torpedo salvo, it's the next salvo. I think the sub had pinged both subs there, so that's why I was like, I don't need to use DCP. I don't know what he's doing here. But I'm going to make a mistake and eventually not making... resetting, clearing a homing lock-on. I'm losing my train of thought right now. So I'm like, oh, maybe I can get behind the island in time. He just dumped all those torpedoes. He can't have that many more torpedoes coming my way, right? After just launching that whole set. And I'm wrong, as you'll see here. But we're still being focused by CV. I'm like, it's better to go broadside to, well, I don't know. Louisiana has a pretty tight strike anyhow. But then I'm like, ah, crap. So I go ahead and preemptively hit my heal and preemptively hit the DCP. And we don't eat a ton of damage there. If those were non-homing torpedoes, we definitely got smacked. And I had slowed down there trying to kill speed. And what ends up happening is we're broadside to the Louisiana. Granted, we do kill the sub there. But now I'm very fearful of the 406s on Louisiana because I'm pretty much just like perfectly broadside to Louisiana at this point. So we clench the butt cheeks and wait. Okay, not too bad. We were beginning to get angled, but I think he raised that too high because he did his salvo seemed to hit more of the superstructure than it did our actual belt. So, but I did talk with Shikishima in chat. Like if he moves on to Cap C, I'll stay on B. Make sure it gets flipped. And this is something really funny that ends up happening here in terms of the throw. So Nevsky he's twice now spotted Shimakaze and he's pushing in on him. Nevsky comes out from behind the island there, gets the radar off as we're about to flip B. And I actually end up, I'm going to be honest, I judge the Nevsky for what I see when I look back behind here. I'm telling Shikishima I'm coming. And Nevsky just launched torps. I'm like, Nevsky has 8km torps. I'm like, you see a lot of players use more warships. They have a destroyer player or a player too low on HP, and instead the player dumps torps rather than just finishing off the destroyer with guns. And then that happens. Shimakaze torp kills the Nevsky, and you're going to want to pay attention to chat here. He says radar that. Shikishima, or Jinan kills the Louisiana, excuse me. And then just as like, victory. Nevsky torpedo kills the Shimakaze. I laughed so hard. Mrs. Flimsy heard me from the other room. Because I was kind of disbelief. Because I'm like, okay, we're about to kill Louisiana, but crap, Shimakaze. There's no way we're going to have time to get to him, to kill him. The game is lost. Oh, well, good effort. But hey, the Nevsky torpedoes worked. So I doubted the torps. I shouldn't have doubted the torps because I think Shima was having a hard time because he was on the border, so he was slower. But we do 200,000 damage with the 3 kills and some caps. We do a lot of plane damage. We took a lot of the HP off the Gato. And just a lot of damage in general. So that helps us with the base XP being over 3,100 and topping the team. I complimented Ajina on the Nevsky and the Shikishima. I did great. I even messaged the Nevsky player afterwards just saying thanks for the good laugh. I haven't laughed that hard in a really long time. And here you can see we took almost 150,000 hit points. You have a lot of hit points to spend on Kremlin, but you don't want to be like go overboard with that, right? We do 1.6 million potential damage. Was that like 24,000 spotting damage? I don't know. And with premium account, you can see we ended with 576,000 credits earned, and I think we were just running green boosters, so we actually could have had even more if we were running a higher credit booster. But I mean, I was not expecting a game like this at all. Yeah, it was just kind of crazy in how we landed with the win, with getting the Expert, Confederate, and the Dreadnought. So a lot of hit points around the board. We didn't even pick up the high caliber, just because of the Yamatos and multiple of the other ships with larger hit point pools. But yeah, it's a pretty painful game for sure. Especially when caps are so important and you're a battleship trying to like rush across the map to get them, since we lost our destroyer players. I don't know how early on, but we didn't have any to work with us towards the end there. But really good game. Good game. Best laugh I've had in World of Warships for 2025 so far. I actually did my solo a lot of good the other night. It was Sunday, I think, when this battle happened, because I was working on naval battles. So it was just honestly amusing. So yeah, I hope we see Jingles feature this. I don't know. I think the laugh at the end, that so caught me off guard. You just wouldn't expect that. So hats off to the Neski player and other teammates of Jinon, Shikishima, for pulling a lot of weight this game, because that definitely helped us turn this certain defeat into a victory. So if you liked today's video, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you subscribe, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. And until next time, take care.